Thank you very much. We have a great team behind us. Juventus of Italy, and a friend of mine is the owner of the team. He's a fantastic business person, a young guy, and I think it's got the longest string of ownership of just about any sports franchise, but does have the record in soccer. That's John Elkann. I think you know him. John Elkann is a man that has done a fantastic job in the automobile industry, comes from a lineage of winners. And you have Gianni Infantino, as you know, and he's going to have the World Cup here. We have a game tonight. The game is, where is it, over in D.C., the stadium?
Here, yeah. Holyfield.
And it's totally sold out, I hope, right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, and you have two great American players on this team. And would you just, where are you, my American players?
Over here.
They're fantastic, so good luck.
Thank you.
I hope you're going to be the two best players on the field. Well, I just thought you might want to ask questions, anything about the World Cup or the game tonight, but anything about the World Cup would be great, and Johnny's right here. So anybody have any questions? And I hope you like the, well, I'm a little, you know, he's a friend of mine. It's hard to go against him, to be honest with you. But they have a good team. Who are you playing tonight?
We're playing against the Emirati team.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
strong.
Good. Well, they spend a lot of money, right? They pay a lot of money. Yeah, that's probably. Is it a strong team? Good team tonight? Yeah, you
All
guys
teams are good. It's the best teams in the world who are here in America.
Right, Johnny? You think?
Best teams in the world are here.
They're all good. Well, we raised the American flag for you guys today.
Well,
That's
it's quite a historic day.
Looks nice out there, doesn't it? Beautiful. Even you agree, right? I think so. Do you agree now? Most of you agree. So, do you have any questions, please?
Do you know the latest on the evacuations out of Israel, Mr. President? Have
No.
you been updated on that?
No, we're having a meeting in an hour. We have a meeting downstairs in 1 hour. Yeah.
Mr. President, on Iran, if regime change does happen, if the regime falls, do you have a plan for what you think would happen?
I have a plan for everything, but we'll see what happens. We've got a ways to go. They should have made the deal. I had a great deal for them. They should have made that deal. 60 days we talked about it, and in the end they decided not to do it, and now they wish they did it. And they want to meet, but it's it's a little late to meet, but they want to meet. And they want to come to the White House. They'll even come to the White House. So we'll see. I may do that, but it's a shame it could have been done the easy way.
Do you think the regime there could fall?
Sure, anything could happen, right? Of that, sure, that could happen. Yeah,
Mr.
please.
President, the Senate Judiciary Committee is holding a hearing on who exactly was running the White House under Joe Biden. Who do you think that was?
I think the auto pen ran the White House. We have an auto pen president before me. I think it's one of the greatest scandals in the history of this country, one of the biggest scandals. He wasn't making a decision. He was never for open borders where people came in from all over the world, from prisons and gangs and drug dealers and all of that, the mentally insane. He was never for that. He was never for open borders, and he was never for, if you think, he was never for transgender for everybody, or men playing in women's sports. He was never for that. Have you ever had women? Could a woman make your team, fellas? Tell me. You think? You're being nice. What do you think? Think a woman could make the team? General managers, what do you think?
Difficult.
You don't say it. Close.
We have a very good women's team, though.
You do have, right? Yeah. But they should be playing with women, right? It's one of those things. One of those things. See, they're very diplomatic.
As you're making your decision on Iran, obviously if there's been a change from when you were pursuing a diplomatic negotiation, now you seem very open to the idea of potentially taking U.S. action. Obviously, you're not going to tell us that. Can you walk us through what contributed to that change, how you got to where you are in making your decision now? Well,
I think it started the first night. I mean, that first night was devastating. And it really knocked the one side off, as you know. It was a devastating evening, day. And it's pretty much proceeded that way. I have a meeting in the war room in a little while. Situation room, as some people call it. So we're going to meet. We're going to see. We're in the midst of it's a terrible thing. I hate to see it. I hate to see all that death, so much death and destruction. But death primarily is what I hate to see.
Does that mean you haven't made a decision yet on what to do?
I have ideas as to what to do, but I haven't made a final. I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war. Things change with war. It can go from one extreme to the other. War is very bad. There was no reason for this to be a war. There was no reason for Russia, Ukraine. A lot of wars there was no reason for. You know, you look right up there. I don't know. See the Declaration of Independence, and I say, I wonder if the Civil War. It always seemed to me maybe that could have been solved without losing 600,000 plus people. So a lot of it's very sad to see. It's very sad to see what's happening. But with that being said, I would say right now Israel, from the standpoint of winning a war, is doing pretty well. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, in your meeting today with the Chief of Staff of the Pakistani Army, did you talk about Iran? Did that come up?
Yeah.
You can share from that
Yeah,
meeting?
well, they know Iran very well, better than most. And they're not happy about anything. It's not that they're bad with Israel. They know them both, actually, but they're probably, maybe they know Iran better. But they see what's going on, and he agreed with me. The reason I had him here, I wanted to thank him for not going into the war, just ending the war. And I want to thank, as you know, Prime Minister Modi just left, just a little while ago, just left, and we're working a trade deal with India. We're working a trade deal with Pakistan, and they were both here. But I was with Modi a few weeks ago. He was here, actually. But now we speak to him, and I'm so happy. There was a deal that two smart people, plus, they have people on their staff too, but two very smart people decided not to keep going with that war. That could have been a nuclear war. Those are two nuclear powers, big ones, big nuclear powers, and they decided that. So I was honored to meet him today.
And if I can, Mr. Chief, sir, and for anyone who may want to answer, how has the travel bans from certain countries affected fans maybe coming in for the games, or is that not a consideration?
Gianni, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's not a concern for us. For the games now in the Club World Cup, everything has been done in a very smooth way. We have an excellent collaboration, of course, with the President, but with the task force in particular. For next year, the World Cup, we have one more year to work, and the learnings that we have this year with the Club World Cup, which is historic, I say this to all the Americans, because it's the first ever Club World Cup, and it's played in the United States of America. So the learnings we'll have for this will apply them next year.
And they're largely sold out, so I don't know. I don't think he's too worried about the travel ban. He doesn't know what the travel ban is, I don't think. Johnny, tell me what the travel ban is. He doesn't know what it is. He's largely sold out. Like tonight is totally. I have friends, they heard about this meeting. They said, can you get me tickets? I don't know if I can get tickets. He won't give them to me. Maybe John will give them to me. I don't know. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, two questions, if I could. One about Iran and then one domestically. With Iran, what's your message to Americans, both here and abroad, who are not only concerned about the U.S. potentially getting involved in another conflict in the Middle East, but worry about the potential for retaliation here at home?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I think they were a few weeks away from having one. And they had to sign a document. I think they wish they signed it now. It was a fair deal. And now it's a harder thing to sign, It's a lot of water over the dam. But, it's very, I say it very simply. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Too much devastation. And they'd use it. I believe they'd use it. Others won't use it, but I believe they'd use it. So that's it. It's very simple as far as I'm concerned. They can't have a nuclear weapon.
And then domestically, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley came out this week as the lead sponsor of a bill to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. It stands out because he's a Republican. There's still 20 states that have it at $7.25. Do you support the legislation, or do you?
Well, I haven't seen it. I'd have to speak to Josh. He's a very good friend of mine. That's interesting that Josh did that. I'm going to have to think about that one. Some people agree with it, some people don't. Some people say it really turns away business. Restaurants close, and a lot of things happen. Other people agree. I'd have to speak to Josh. He's a good guy.
Mr. President, for the possibility of an Iran deal, is the destruction or the dismantling of the Fordow nuclear enrichment center, is that a prerequisite for a deal? Is that a red line for you?
No, it's just something that people talk about having. We're the only ones that have the capability to do it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it at all. Yeah, we have the best military equipment in the world. You see that with this fight. We have planes that are undetectable, flying around like, you know, nobody's able to see them stealth. You guys want to be stealthy tonight. You know, you can be stealth, you'll never lose, right? But these are incredible planes and weapons. We have the best weapons in the world, by far. Nobody close. And I mean, certain countries take advantage of that. Israel has incredible weaponry. So we'll see what happens. I've been asked about it by everybody, but I haven't made a decision.
Mr. President, you talked earlier today about having daily conversations with Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Yeah.
How have those conversations weighed on you in terms of getting more involved? You've been lobbying for the U.S. to get more involved. Has that had an impact in kind of your evolution, sir?
Look, we talk, and I'd like to see everything done. I would have preferred having just an agreement, a strong agreement, you know, verifiable agreement. But it was such a shame. They were so close. You know, Iran was very close to signing what would have been a very good agreement for them. And maybe that could still happen, I guess, you know. They do want to come and see us. They want to see me in the White House. That's a big statement. But it's very late.
Is it enough of a statement to hold off getting involved?
We're going to see what happens. Look, we're going to see what happens. Ending it as soon as you can would be good.
Have you closed the door on meeting with them?
No.
Okay,
no.
so it's still open to them coming here in your
Yeah, I mean, they asked if they could come. We'll see if that happens. It's not that easy for them to come. They can't get out. You know, they're in Iran, and in one case, the guy wanted to come so badly, but he can't get out because there's bombs dropping all over the place.
Have you seen the Tucker Carlson, Senator Ted Cruz interview? It seems like this issue on whether or not the United States should strike is kind of dividing a lot of your supporters.
No, my supporters are for me. My supporters are America first and make America great again. My supporters don't want to see Iran have a nuclear weapon. Tucker's a nice guy. He called and apologized the other day because he thought he said things that were a little bit too strong, and I appreciated that. And Ted Cruz is a nice guy. I mean, he's been with me for a long time. I'd say once the race was over, he's been with me ever since, right? But very simple. If they think that it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon, then they should oppose me. But nobody thinks it's okay. People that don't want, I don't want to fight either. I'm not looking to fight. But if it's a choice between fighting and them having a nuclear weapon, you have to do what you have to do. Maybe we won't have to fight. Don't forget, we haven't been fighting. We add a certain amount of genius to everything, but we haven't been fighting at all. Israel's done a very good job of that. But we'll see what happens. The bottom line is they can't have nuclear. And if Ted, I can't imagine that Ted Cruz said it's okay for Iran to have nuclear, including Tucker. I don't think Tucker says it's okay. The problem is then they get themselves into a thing. They don't want them to have nuclear, but then they say, well, we don't want to fight. Well, you're going to have to make a choice because it's possible that you're going to have to fight for them not to have nuclear. And it's interesting because I did ask Tucker, I said, well, are you okay with nuclear weapons being in the hands of Iran? And he sort of didn't like that. He didn't want to really, but he sort of didn't like that. And I said, well, if it's okay with you, then you and I do have a difference. But it's really not okay with him. Therefore, you may have to fight. And maybe it'll end, and maybe it'll end very quickly. But there's no way that you can allow, whether you have to fight or not, you can allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon because the entire world will blow up. Not going to let that happen.
Mr. President, I wonder, you had a bit of a row with President Emmanuel Macron of France the other day at the G7.
No, he's a nice guy. Look, he said I was going back home to make a ceasefire. Not a ceasefire. We're long beyond ceasefire. And I said, why do you say that? Why would you say ceasefire? It's a bad term to use. Because a ceasefire means like everything's going swimmingly, we'll take a little time off. It's not. We're not looking for a ceasefire. We're looking for a total, complete victory. Again, you know what the victory is. No nuclear weapon.
Mr. President,
So I thought it was a very badly worded statement by him, and obviously I let him know that.
on the southern border, you've had record low numbers for the month of May, 95 apprehensions, 0 releases compared to that of the previous administration exactly a year ago,
Yeah.
more than 60,000 releases. What do you attribute that success to?
I like you. Who are you with?
Turning Point USA. Sir.
Well, they're very good. Turning Point. Charlie, very good. That's what I call a good question, fellas. 1 out of 10, John. 1 out of 10, but that's a really good question. No, we had record good numbers on the border. And people are coming in, but they have to come in legally. Like some of these guys behind me, they have to come in legally. And if they come in legally, we want them. They have to say they love America, they love our country. And if they can't say that, we don't want them. Thank you very much. Very nice. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, press.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. President, will you take some questions? What intelligence do you have? Do you have any intelligence that Iran is targeting? A lot of intelligence. That Iran is targeting any U.S. assets?
We're doing very well. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Here's Caroline.
Thank you, Press. Thank you, Press. Thank you.